Hello everyone, hope we're all doing well. This is episode 12. Today I'm with Gemma and we're talking about her journey through the PT and what she's doing now, and also how she stays motivated and building a business.
Brilliant.
Hello Gem, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks for coming on. So tell the world where you're from, what you're doing, and then we'll crack on.
So basically, I am from Saddleworth. I've just started setting up my PT business.
Yep.
Phoenix Fitness Mindset means a lot to me.
Just a little bit.
Say a bit more. Yeah, it means a lot to me as I found that personally went through some quite life-changing experiences and realised that mindset matters a lot. So I've built my business around mindset, fitness, focus, and helping people push their boundaries really, and understand that anything can be achievable.
Right.
It's never too late to start.
Cool. So, I mean, that's a good segue. So, what did you do before you decided to do PT?
So I used to work across sales in multiple disciplines, and also apprenticeships. So I managed sales teams. I've worked in sales, had to go out and obviously building pipelines. So I've got that ability to understand and look at unique things where we can fit. Managing apprenticeships, large accounts, going out for construction for Receive College and things. And I just was in that sort of that corporate world. As much as I loved that experience and thrived in that environment, it just wasn't fulfilling me anymore. I didn't feel that. It's like a weird thing to say, but like I was in a room full of people, but didn't think that I fit anywhere. So I sort of wanted to get back into the fitness. I was going on my own journey at the time. So that's where I came around thinking I want to retrain and come into the fitness world.
What was it that sparked it to do it for fitness? Because you could have chose absolutely anything.
I've always been sporty. Swam, obviously from North Wales originally, swam for Flint, played rugby, played rugby league, yeah. So obviously quite, only very basic, nothing too thingy, did all the training and stuff. Two of my girls played for Warrington Wolves as well, came through. They're like 14 and 18 now. So I've always been very sporty. Done a lot of athletics. I've done boxing, like kickboxing as well. And I've always
very dangerous.
Say it loud. I'm not that bad. Don't worry, everyone says that. And then I realised that I love that environment. I love coaching. I love helping people, and I wanted to merge something that did both. So have my ability to not be sat behind a desk anymore, being out and using my obviously unique experiences to help other people.
So I know you said that you went on a little bit of a journey of your own.
Yeah.
So what happened with that then? Was that while you were in corporate, you decided to go on your own journey? Well,
yes, it was. I was working here, there, everywhere. Always been fit, piled on a lot of weight. Not going to lie, my diet was...
Just from the fact that you were never eating proper meals?
Yeah, never eating proper meals. So I understand that world, really understand it, and obviously from the sales world as well, when you're working away, you're entertaining at night time, probably drinking more than you should do. You're not getting your steps in, still coming back and doing CrossFit at weekends, but you can't out-train a bad diet. No. It's not a chance, because obviously if you're honest with yourself, what you're consuming Monday to Friday is putting you way over your calorie bracket for the whole week.
Yeah.
So, coming back and then hitting the gym, not getting where I wanted to be, feeling really demotivated in life, then drinking more, because I'm not going to lie there, trying to numb the feeling of like, oh, I'm failing at this, I don't feel great. And then something clicked in me and I was like, no, something's got to change.
I always find that corporate, I always say like the borderline alcoholic.
Yeah, true.
Because every function that I go to, and especially like when you go into meetings for the weekend or stuff like that, it's always going out after, and like, don't get me wrong, I still do it from time to time, everyone does, but they do it through the week as well. Like they're going to go out for tea with a boss, and it usually ends up a few bars as well. And yeah, I mean, for you especially then, it must have been hard to lock your mind around. Because did you start your fitness journey while you were coming out of that, or did you have to change stuff while you were in corporate?
So I started to change stuff when I was in corporate. So 1st of July last year, I was like, right, I need to change something. Got back from holiday in Turkey, looked back at the pictures of me in Turkey. I was like, wow, I've piled on a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing holiday with my daughters. And I was like, something's got to change. I'm not feeling mentally well. As much as I'm projecting out there that I'm doing brilliant and I'm happy, I wasn't. I was sort of lost inside. So I joined CrossFit, started training there, and then said to myself, I'm going to hit this now for the next year. And I'm going to see how far I can push it. in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to move over into fitness and PT, but I knew that I had to be the best of myself to give it to somebody else. I knew I wanted to do that journey and complete it and see how I could, what the ups and downs, the peaks and troughs would be. So then I can actually coach and mentor somebody else in that, because I've actually lived it. I've understood it, come out of a marriage that didn't work, had to my whole life was turned upside down, so I've lived that. I understand what it's like to not know who you are. So I started with my mindset, started meditating, getting out in nature, listening to podcasts, and then started to read some different types of books of understanding how behaviours and values work. And then I started to implement that on myself.
Boom. I mean, you took like a 360 on yourself, really.
Oh, yeah, entirely different.
So where you are now then, if you could have spoke to yourself, how long's your journey been? Maybe a couple of years?
Well, my journey started 4 years ago, but my fitness journey started 12 months ago.
Yeah. So that entire change and that entire loop round that you did, if you could go back to yourself 4 years ago with any advice whatsoever, because I'm sure there's people out there who resonated with what you just said, what sort of advice, and I suppose you do this as a coach as well, what sort of advice would you give someone in that situation?
It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to find yourself again. And don't look back and don't feel negative about the experiences that you've been through. Take that as a stepping stone to build on from that. So you work from there. So you think, right, draw a line underneath it. That's happened. Can't change it. But what can I change moving forward? I watch a lot of self-motivational videos, and it talks about the past is the past. That can't be changed. Live for today. So what they say is you don't have a bad life. You're having a bad day. Tomorrow isn't born yet. So don't think about that. Think about what you can manage today. So if you get up and your mindset's off and you're not feeling great, what can I do to change that? And then I implement the 3 things of gratitude. In the morning, I'm thankful for my daughters. I'm thankful that I can exercise. I'm thankful that I'm able to move around and I've got a home. And then at the end of the day, if the day's not gone to plan, I do 3 things that I can work on that I can change the next day to implement to make sure the day doesn't go the way it did. And it does really work.
And I mean, we talk about this all the time, but just exercising alone can change and shift your mindset immensely. You can turn a terrible day, and, for the past year, I've been really stagnant with when I can train, and it's usually on a night. So I could have a really stressful day with work and looking after a baby and stuff like that. Train on a night, everything seems better, and you go to bed with a clear head. And I think that really matters. And I think our job as personal trainers is letting people know that you have an outlet, because people choose outlets throughout their life, and this is where drinking comes into it. This is where, other things and different lifestyle aspects, and exercise is one of the outlets that you get that you can get addicted to, because I think people associate addiction with obviously negative things. One of the things that you can get addicted to that has a massive amount of benefits. So when you got into the fitness industry, I know obviously you trained under us, you went through the course and it was fantastic. And when you started as a personal trainer, because you come from a corporate background, what were the most surprising things that stuck out to you, or maybe not a problem, but was definitely a change?
Just working in the gym environment itself, and try and build the clientele, getting out there, as marketing yourself, but hitting the right audience, because all of us are different human beings and we all offer different things. And the thing with me is, I speak to people, and I will actually recommend somebody else if I do feel that they're better fit for them, because I believe not all of us can, I sort of align with my clients. The people that I'm working with now are like women, and lots of things that come through different areas in their life that I really resonate with, that I really can understand and I can help them. So, the fitness industry as well, it is saturated, but there's millions of people out there that just need that one person to believe in them that can change their life. And that's what we can do.
Of course. And I think we as personal trainers, and we said this before as well, and I try and hammer it home to every single learner, is you have to be your client's cheerleader. And we say lead by example, and we're not just talking about the achievements, but also the failures as well, because we're all human beings. And once someone hires a personal trainer, you're hiring an expert. But the only way to be an expert is failing a lot of the time and having your mistakes, because people want to learn from mistakes. And I think that's the importance of this podcast as well, because we don't want to just speak to highly successful personal trainers who had it all go right for them from day one. We want people who, have had to struggle and build and stuff like that. And so, especially at the start then, what sort of clientele did you attract?
So I'm attracting obviously women. I'm 41 now, so I'm attracting that hardworking mum that's lost her identity. That's where I feel I align. Someone that's working in the working environment that's lost themselves, and I'm finding I'm building that now. It's slowly but surely coming through. Reaching out to the correct people. But it's not just alienating anybody. I'm there to help and support anybody that wants to take part in the journey. But at the same time, I know you see some stuff on social media. It's like, you've got to get your steps in, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, or you're failing. The last thing I want to do as a personal trainer and a coach is put more stress onto somebody so they're feeling they're not achieving. So what I do is I adapt all my programs to suit their needs. It's very tailored. They have an onboarding with me where we talk around mindset, we talk around barriers that they're working with now. So we try to implement different ways of making sure that we can bring positivity in the life around fitness, around the coaching, that reduce them barriers.
I mean, in the time that you've been a personal trainer, have you run into any difficult moments with clients? Maybe ones that didn't implement the change and maybe blamed you for it, or have you had any sort of...
Not yet, because I do quite a vigorous onboarding program with them to understand what they need. But I do ask my clients to follow the nutrition plan, because I think sometimes it's mindfulness and mindful eating. A couple of people still like to have a glass of wine. That don't deter them from that. But I ask them to be honest, because I know myself, I wasn't honest. Yeah. So I know I'd say, I've only had a bottle of wine. No, I'd had 2 bottles of wine, and then I'd reach for a bag of crisps, and then I'd reach for a bar of chocolate, because I wasn't mindful thinking, because I'd had a drink and I'd relaxed. I wasn't actually recording in my head what I was eating and what I was drinking.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest thing. I don't want someone constantly having to scan everything, but at the same time mindful that 2 heavy Friday and Saturday nights can ruin everything you're putting in the week.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it's just understanding that and then being honest around that.
Plus as well, for what you're promoting and the people you want to work with, I think you're definitely going to come across people that come in with a mindset of paying for a PT is enough. And, I've had plenty of it where they made the transaction, they made the purchase, and that alone will secure the goals. And it's a hard conversation to have, because, again, you don't want to be a drill sergeant. You don't want to be on the backs all the time. You don't want to, feel like the mum. Like, what have you done today? What have you eaten? But some people really thrive on it when they start getting a mindset, because the idea is, I don't know whether you agree with this, is our job is a little bit like a driving instructor's. We're not here to sit by your side for your entire driving journey. We're here to get you on the road for you to figure it out. We're going to give you the tools that we've got, and you get better and better from that point on.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you might be with some people longer than you are with others. Some people pick you up and go, yep, thanks for that, we'll see you later, and then we'll go crack on. Some people stay around you for just because they like you. And, I'd say the clientele that I've got now, I get on really well with everyone, and I'm making friends, I'm going to clients' weddings, and, so a lot of relationships you build, and I think this is really important for personal trainers to know, is you're spending 1, 2, 3, maybe up 4 hours a week with this person. You're going to have to build some kind of relationship. You can't work like a robot saying, do this, do that, right, see you next time. You're going to build some sort of relationship, so they will stay with you.
Yeah, 100%. You get to know them as well and who they are, and they're open with you. And obviously I've got fantastic people on board now, and they've been motivating me in different things. I've been motivating them, telling them, think outside the box, set up for yourself now, instead of in that corporate world, back yourself, be a consultant, you've got this, stuff like that. So it's been really positive in that respect. So sometimes that they get more from us than just the fitness side. It's that self-belief to know that they can push their own boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I push them up, not only in the fitness, obviously in the mindset, and also what they can achieve.
Yeah, because I think once you begin that fire with them, they start realizing, I can do this, and I can do this exercise, I can do this weight, I can lose weight. And once you start getting the taste for achievement, I think that's when the goals change as well, because it's never going to be a constant goal. You're going to have an initial goal, and then new goals will come up, new aspirations will come up. You'll get clients that come in who just want to look better for a wedding. Wedding's over. What now? What do we do? Maybe they want to run. Okay, let's set up a 5K challenge. Now 10K, half marathon. And, it'll constantly build from there. And I think what people really get from you, and because I've known you for the time that I have, you're all about positive mind.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I'm on your story all the time. It's always an affirmation, or I'm reading it at like 4 o'clock. I'm like, oh yeah, it actually does make sense. And sometimes it's intoxicating to be around someone just so positive. And I think from the outside, everyone thinks, oh, Gemma's just really positive. She's really
not all the time. No.
So what do you do? Because I know people are going to question that, going, well, if you're not positive all the time, how do you act so positive? And we all wear masks. Yeah. But how do you tackle?
I learn my own behaviours. I understand what my triggers are. So I know that if I'm tired and I'm run down and I'm struggling a little bit, I implement the mindfulness. I tell myself, right, I don't have to go and give 110% in the gym today, but I can go and do a little bit. I can get out and walk in nature. I can listen to that podcast to lift myself. We're human beings. So at the end of the day, we're always going to have something in our lives that causes stress.
Of course, sure.
But it's how we implement the factors around that and what we do to make sure that stress basically is not as high as it is. So using fitness, getting out with walks, listening to the podcasts, getting around people, getting out in nature is a big thing. I tell my clients, that don't worry if you're struggling, about hitting the steps every day when you're behind a desk, but make sure you get out on a big walk.
And so do you think then, because I imagine you're working with a lot of corporate people as well, because you said early on that you understand how much they're going to struggle. So what are some really high value things that you think that you can implement straight away? I'm not going to give all away your tips. I'm not going to give away your coaching, but if you're tackling someone who's corporate, because I know and I work with people in corporate, they're the hardest people in the world to work with because they're so professional. It's usually the self-care is the last thing on the list. How do you get someone like that mentally to change their aspects of what they're looking for?
What I've done is I'm working obviously a lot for ladies from different areas as well, some nurses as well, some aesthetics people, some other corporate people in other areas, is asking them to prep the food on a Sunday. I know it can take a lot. I know it takes time out, but doing it as a family. So I'm making sure, like, obviously nutritional side of things, it fits with the family. So it's not making such, let's be honest, things are expensive at the moment. Cost of living is high. Last thing I want to do is put pressure on them with asking them to cook a specific diet. But at the same time, making it more mindful that the family can eat healthy together, implementing different things like that. Planning out what days they're going to train in the week, looking at the diary, being actually honest about when they can train and when they can get into the gym, giving them that time to, like, if it's on their most busiest day, getting out for a walk that day might be more beneficial, and then running into me feeling they're not actually in the correct mindset to train with me, that they're just rushing into train to rush home again. They're not there. That mind memory muscle makes a big difference. You're coming into train, implementing that and understanding it. Also, not to knock yourself, like, if you're having a really stressful day, that's fine, but make sure that you're on plan with your diet. Make sure that you're drinking effectively. You're not just sat there and you haven't ate all day, because some people work through all day with no lunch, and they actually do, and they're sat at that desk and they haven't moved, and all they've reached for is a coffee or an energy drink, or they haven't looked after themselves. They get home at night time, they're depleted. What's the first thing you do? Don't want to cook. I'll order a takeaway.
Yeah.
So it's things like, if the food is there and obviously that's all ready to go, that's cut out one factor, which is the takeaway. Secondly, getting out in nature if they can, get away from their desk at lunchtime, lift themselves a little bit, 20 minutes of just getting outside, listen to a podcast, or just come away from that desk, re-energize yourself, and then you might feel fit enough to train at night time. But if they're managing their diary like they manage it in the corporate world, but managing it within fitness, it's implemented in the beginning. They know what they want to do, what they're going to achieve.
Yeah.
So it's sort of focusing on that, focusing on their strengths, and then me plugging the weaknesses around, i.e. not eating all day or not getting the steps, and seeing what we can do around that.
That's fantastic. It's a good frame of mind as well, because the more professional you are, and I noticed this, the more you go on building a business or meeting network and stuff like that, you start realizing that part of your life starts becoming compartmentalized, and you start pushing it back a little bit, and then you need to lead by example, like, right, I've got to get it in. And I think working out how to do the most minimum side of it to get the goals that you want, because again, like most people do too much, especially in the start, and it's always, I'm going to eat way too less of food, I'm going to exercise way too much, I'm going to restrict how much I'm socializing and doing this. And you have such a big change. And on top of that, you're working, you've got a family, you've got, your own mental health to look after. And you made all these huge changes that end up actually hurting you. And, it burns you out. And then you think, oh, obviously I just can't lose weight. I think this is what most people struggle with, is that because they've tried to do such drastic changes in such a short space of time, nothing sticks. Rather than focusing on, like a couple of things, like making sure you're hydrated, the difference of a glass of water with some electrolytes in the morning makes a difference from waking up after, a bottle of wine, like you say, at night and you're all dehydrated, makes a huge difference. Trying to get to an hour a little bit earlier into bed and maybe not watching TV as long, getting out for more walks, getting your steps up. Because back in like the 80s and 90s, no one really tracked steps. And the only reason it's a thing now is because it's a measurement of data to show that you're consistent. If you're walking the same route every day, you're doing the same amount of reps. So just being outside. Yeah, I mean, it's, especially as a personal trainer, when you're trying to teach these things, you don't want to hammer it home like you're trying to be someone's mum. And I think you've got the language down perfectly, to be honest. I think, especially when you're trying to communicate from your own self journey. And we're all still on our own journeys. And like you said yourself, you've got the goals for, you want to try bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Still the thing?
At the moment, I want to do it, but I feel like one thing I've noticed in myself is I raise the bar too much. So I'm going to chill for a minute. Yeah. I'm going to be thankful of how far I've come, push everything into my business, get that to where I need to be, have a 12 to 18 month plan, and then I will look at bodybuilding. I think at the moment, I want to give everything to my clients and my business. And I think putting myself in another strict routine right now when I'm just getting out there, getting set up, really looking at how I can get out and help other people. And that's something that I come to realization with this week, to be honest, with the boxing, with all the different things I was bringing in. It was actually, do you know what, Gem? You've climbed that mountain. Stop and just look at the view for a second.
Yeah, take a look back.
Just stop, look how far you've come, be proud of it, be buzzing that you've smashed it, and then enjoy this and then move on. Because I think in the world that we live in, especially social media focused, the grind is the drive, and it's like the more you grind, it's harder you're working. Sometimes you just got to stop and think, do you know what, I'm thankful. Wow, 40 kilos gone. I'm in the job that I absolutely love. I've got beautiful children, I'm working hard. I'm in an environment that I really enjoy. Wow, I've done this, and like, and bearing in mind, I only came out of the corporate world in December, so last year. Yeah. So do you know what I mean? We're only in.
And do you know what? This is something I've only realised recently, is you've got this happiness trail that you're always trying to get. And the interesting thing is, when you're starting out, or whatever stage of life that you're in, you're always saying, if I get to here, I'm going to be happy. Once you get there, you're like, right, I need to get there and I'm going to be happy. And you're always chasing happiness, and happiness isn't, a currency. Happiness isn't a goal. Happiness is a choice. You can be the happiest pig in shit if you wanted to be. And it's choosing to be there now, having a smile and enjoying the moments. And I did it myself. I mean, past few years have just flown by for me, because you're always thinking of the next bit, the next thing. I'm always living, a week ahead of myself, saying, I've got this to do, I need to do that, I need to do this. Rather than, like yesterday, I went to soft play for the first time with my daughter, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, because it looked like a smile on her face and like time stopped. And then I appreciated that I'm able to do that because I'm able to take the time off when I need to do it. And it's just being happy. And I think if you're going to take on a monumental task of building a business, getting into personal training, whatever field that you want to work in, go into it happy, and the results will get better and better, because you're going to have hard times, you're going to have financial difficulty, you're going to have all the times where you think it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes. But then my energy, I like to give good energy out, positive energy. People in work say to me, your energy lifts a room. I'm always positive, anything bouncing off the walls, put me little motivational quotes on the board and stuff. Everybody laughs when they come in. But it's like, I'm thankful, because where I was 5 years ago is not even a fraction to it's like the 360 that I've done. I don't even relate to that person I used to be anymore. It's like looking back at a film that doesn't even sync with me anymore, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I am thankful. I am happy, and I've got amazing people in my life now, like a new partner, very different from what I'm used to. And he's quite into exercise as well, so does boxing, different things, he enjoys it. So it's like, you gravitate to people that are different. I think when you sort of find and align with your tribe, I know that's a cheesy way of putting it, but it's very true. New people come into your life with different behaviors, different values, and you find you attract them sort of people.
Yeah.
And where I work in the gym at the unit in Saddleworth, we are all highly motivated. We all laugh, and our staff room's hilarious. We're always ripping each other or doing stuff and things like that. It's really high energy. And there's times when sometimes they're sat there, and I think you take for granted how much you put into a client when you're back to back. If you've got back to back clients, you've got to give that same experience to that last client as you've given to that first client. And that it can be draining, it can be tiring. So it's like going out there and having that energy and being that chief motivator, but at the same time filling your own cup, because if your cup is empty, you can't motivate anybody.
Yeah.
So it's that understanding, looking after yourself, making sure, how many times have you worked all day and probably not had your lunch or not had a minute to grab a drink and stuff?
Yeah.
So it's making sure. No, you don't.
You just don't. And the day, I always say it now, the most insane quote I always say now, which I never used to say, was there's not enough hours in the day. And yeah, it's a part of life. I think it's also when you're getting older as well, you get more adult responsibilities, more people rely on you. It's not just your business life, it's your personal life, and you end up just trying to balance it all and juggle it all. And you're spending that many times learning how to juggle, you forget that you're very lucky to have those things anyway and just appreciate them. And because things can change very fast, and not to put down on things, but you could drop dead at any minute. And I sometimes forget that, and then you hear stories of fittest guy, healthiest woman, they're just gone, and that's it. Story's over. And then if you get a chance to look back at what you've done when you die, are you happy? Were you happy doing it? So yeah, I think this journey, and if someone's trying to start a journey, just appreciate the fact that you get to make that choice, and just feel lucky. The luckier you feel, the luckier.
It's practicing with the gratitude of being thankful. Like when I was talking, being able to train, being able to move. There's somebody in hospital that can't have that experience and maybe looks back and wishes that they looked after themselves a little bit better. But it's never too late to start. And that's what I keep reiterating. It's never too late to start. Doesn't matter about the past. It matters from today. What can you change from today? What can you implement? And how hard you can turn your life around from just having that ability. I've released a new hybrid thing at the moment with Phoenix Fitness. I know people struggle with money. I know that it's a factor sometimes, and they might not be able to come into the gym as often as they want to, and they've got young children and they feel that they're not confident. So it's like for £200 a month, it's online coaching and 2 face-to-face sessions.
Yeah.
So we can work on form, and they can get used to coming into the gym. They've got the online coaching, maybe like a nutritional plan, and they have a plan that they follow, and they come in twice a month to see me, and the rest of the time it's left to them. So it's more achievable for them. And when people say, well, I've not got a lot of money, but my argument is, well, if you're reaching for a takeaway and a bottle of wine, if you're honest with yourself, how much you're spending every week on that, taking your children to McDonald's and different things. The life that we live in, that was me. I was that mum. I was going doing this and grabbing what I could, and McDonald's and takeaways and things like that. It's only when you actually put it down on paper and you realise what you're spending, you can find different ways of working. So that's why I released the hybrid offer, not to alienate people that want to come into the gym, find themselves, but at the same time, have that experience of working with a personal trainer so we can work on form as well.
Absolutely. So what is Gemma's 12-month projection? What do you want to do in 12 months? Where do you want to be?
So I want to build my business. I want to really help as many people as I can. I want to be able to look back and say that, everything I've achieved has been amazing. I've got another thing coming up at the moment, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, is I'm working with some the Elevate lads over at the unit. They're sports conditioning. So they're absolutely fantastic. They're they work with footballers and rugby players, boxers. And they offer and implement really fantastic things. So they test the players, they test the boxers, and they test anybody that wants to come in and work with them, so they can see fundamentally where their ailments are, where they can work on, if they've got tight hip flexors, if it's hamstrings, and they build their strength.
So what are they using for that in technology?
Yeah, it's like a certain testing technology that they use. So they put like an anklet on and a bracelet on, and it does it's really fantastic. It's what obviously the main football clubs and rugby clubs use. they've invested in that. So that's where they're different. You know, Callum and Adam are absolutely brilliant as well. So they bring them in, they'll test.
Callum's a great guy.
I know. Yeah. Callum, another Adam, like we said before. So Cal's a good name, isn't it? So, but yeah, so they then tailor their approach to what they need from getting them results. Yeah. So they've brought me in now as obviously head of sports psychology to come in obviously around mindset, helping players understand from all aspects, you know, offering on a tier 3 approach, because it's not just around hitting the targets within the game and what they need to achieve. We know what it's like if you get dropped and something doesn't happen. That's when your mindset needs to kick in. That's when your behaviors and your values need to be on point, because what are you going to do to make sure you're getting back in that team? What are you going to implement now? What can you change in yourself to make sure that you're going to get back in that team? And that's what they brought me in on, and I'm really excited.
Oh, that's fantastic. So this is your chance to do your plug as well. Where you are, what you're doing, how people can find you, because I think it'd be really worthwhile jumping on board with you. So tell the world where you are, where they can find you, and I'll put all the details below. So
obviously I'm based in the unit in Saddleworth. Absolutely amazing gym. Brilliant. I offer online training as well, so you don't have to be able to come into the gym. So it's Phoenix_fitness mindset, which is on obviously Instagram. You can find me there, and then I can work with you. And obviously we can have a face-to-face coffee, chat, call, anything to see what you want to do. And then basically, you know, I can help you revolution your life, turn it round, and actually believe in yourself again. Like I said, never too old to start, and you can find that time. So it'd be exciting.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I feel more positive now after that conversation, but thank you for coming on. And like I said, you can find Gemma below. Really worthwhile if you're close to Saddleworth area, even if you're not, worthwhile getting into it. Thank you everybody for joining us. This is episode 11. Like, subscribe, turn that notification button, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.